time for Big D Energy with four-time Stanley Cup champ Darren McCarty, former Lion Joik Bell, and the golden voice of Neil Rule. Live on the Woodward Sports Network, 99.1 and 93.5 The Roar, the Woodward Sports app, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Let's talk some sports. It's Big D Energy.
Think you got him tackled? I mean, that's by keeping your feet going and making Sanders move. Some of those moves, there's only one guy in this game that makes, and you just saw that guy. And you know, after he does something like that, everyone around him gets excited, and this is about as much as you get out of him. Barry Sanders does not throw the ball, he doesn't dance, he doesn't do spikes, he does nothing. He said when he scores, his feeling is one of relief.
He said, I feel it, I just don't show it.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Big D Energy right here on the Woodward Sports Network. And look, guys, the news broke last night, obviously, with John Madden's passing, and that was the first thing that popped in my head was just, and like, I'm not one of these people that is like going to go to his grave, go see his gravesite and stuff like that, like some people do with Elvis or anything like that. But I found myself yesterday, D-Mac, and my name is Neil Rule. That guy is Darren McCarty, four-time Stanley Cup champion. We got fish in the bowl. We got Sawyer in the booth, and happy to have you along for the ride on the YouTube channel. And it's one of those things where, again, going back to it with the passing of John Madden, I'm not going to go drive to his grave on my vacation and pay respects and stuff like that. However, when that news dropped yesterday, it got to me a little more, not to the point where I cried or anything like that, but I think it was more probably about me and about us out there as we saw it, just take social media by storm, is where it was more about me, D-Mac, and you and I are close in age. I mean, you're older than I am. Certainly you're older than I am.
Japes is the oldest. Don't forget.
But you and I are from that same time frame where John Madden, the broadcaster, that was a part of our everyday life. And you guys heard the clip of him doing the playoff game when they beat the Cowboys in the Silverdome. Still, the only color commentator in history to do a Lions playoff win, just so you know, under the current NFL playoff structure.
There it is.
Add that to his list of accomplishments. He actually called a Lions playoff win. That should go right to the top of the list. But the broadcaster, certainly the video game stuff with the Madden, that was an intricate part of both of our lives up into Sawyer, and we're going to get into all of it, get into all the Madden stuff, but it did give me goosebumps, D-Mac, to hear him talk about Barry Sanders and all that stuff. It took me back to a time in my life.
Well, I think that when things like this happen, especially when, pillars in everyone's life, and
that's a great phrase, pillar in your life.
Pillar in your life. When you think back, the first couple things when I heard this is, I thought, well, okay, but at least he got to see his story on Christmas Day on Fox. The Madden show, and it's funny. It got me to think about how many times events or something happens and then people sort of pass on. But I think you brought up a great point. John Madden's generational, right?
Multi-generational.
Multi-generational, like you said about, the even more so maybe than the Elvis Presley, because he not only football, but the commentary, to the commercials, to the video games, to, Telestrator, Turducken, all these different Maddenisms. But he brought that realism, and this is the big thing at the end of the day. In football, more than anything, how important, you brought this to my attention earlier, how important getting that one trophy at least is, because not only credibility, but what you're able to do. My thing, and anybody out there wants to give D-Mac the Madden bus, since he ain't using it now, or not, I mean, not his, but like a new one. But I love that. I mean, not because I'm afraid of flying like John Madden was, but the fact that that bus, the Outback bus, and everywhere that he would drive around, I mean, he was a cultural icon for all of us. And it brought me back as I was going through social media, as a lot of us have been watching the Barry stuff, watching different clips that we'll bring up. But you brought up Sawyer, and you brought up, Corey Woods, our very own Corey Woods that covers the Lions, who, went back and said today that, it reminds you, some of these younger guys, how much Madden meant in his life. What do I always go back to? The two things that I even know is that you're it was either Tecmo or Madden, but even on this day, you give, Madden the props. But again, the clock. Coaching the clock.
Yeah.
Where did we learn some of these things? And it goes to conversations through the bowl games and mismanagement and timeouts and stuff like this. But that's the guy that taught you how to use the clock and how to go forward on fourth down. Dan Campbell influenced much by the Madden. But
no, and that is where it is too, because I hear my son, and this was 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago, last night even, where he's in his room playing Madden with his buddies online, which still blows my mind that, they can just play against each other whenever they want. It's crazy to me.
Blows your mind or makes you super jealous about when we were kids? Yes.
Exactly. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
But I hear him talking about, being in a too deep coverage. And, he humanized a very complicated game and made a very complicated game very simple. And, through the video game, and by the way, I take umbrage with this one that we have in our YouTube channel right now. Our own Speakeasy Sports. So I didn't want to say it, but I respect for Mr. John Madden and his legacy. I hope they fix a damn video game that they named after him. R.I.P. John Madden. You know what, Easy? Here's the deal, ma'am. $7 billion in revenue that it's created. That was a number I think I remember seeing as far as the documentary last night, which even took me to a different time as well. And Sawyer, you've ran this before too, and that's been common here in the YouTube chat. And it's cool to see everybody's words in here too. Detroit Dabber 313, Madden calling Barry Sanders doesn't get any better than that. R.I.P. John Madden from David Mentier as well. And it is, some of those things. It was very cool that he got a chance to see the documentary. For those of you that haven't seen it yet, go see it, by the way. Go see it. AC, and this is a great one here from AC. I was introduced to the sport of football through Madden video games. When I came to America, I had no idea what American football was. Think about that. And AC's, AC and I don't see eye to eye on everything, but he's a knowledgeable football dude. He's knowledgeable about it. And think about that state. Think about the impact someone like AC, someone that Madden had on a guy like AC's life. Think about that. Being Canadian.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. Learning, the different pass and plays. Not only listen to them, but playing the game. So for somebody who didn't play football and stuff like that to understand it, that's why it's taking it in. So I think that the humanization, taking it from all these X's and O's, because it can be intimidating. You look at the board, and when he's scribbling on the board and you got X, Y, Z, and you hear, if you haven't heard football terminology, and you hear Z Cobra, right wing, draft 90, Detroit go 6 zebra, you're like, I can never play football. I
but you can when Madden says
I mean, I want to be Gronk. Block, catch, either or. What do you need me to do? But that's what Madden, and he broke it down. And when you realize, you're just listening for your part of it and your part of it. And, I think that not too much can be said about partnerships and duos, because even Pat Summerall, the way that he was able to bring that out in John Madden. And we all have these stories. Look, it doesn't, like the age groups, multi-generational, and that is something.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got, Fish?
You talk about the Madden documentary. They're re-airing it tonight at 9 and 10:30 on FS1, then tomorrow at 8 on Fox.
Yeah, which is something, too, because I went to go stream it last night right after I heard the news. I'm like, man, I was mad that I missed it on Christmas Day, but I'm sure a lot of people did. You got a lot of stuff going on Christmas Day. And I went to go stream it, and I was reading online. They said, it'll be available to stream January 4th or whatever. And I was like, huh?
People will forget by then.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I was thinking about it.
It'll be second. It'll be down the road, something that you have to get to.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it. I said, wow, I feel like my kids right now. My kids will never know what it means to have to be in front of the television at that moment to watch something, or you don't get to watch it. That kind of brought it back. But, I mean, since then, I'll give Fox credit because they said, hey, we got to put this on television now, which it actually ended up being on at 9 o'clock yesterday. So I was locked in, too. I mean, I turned the bowl game off. All crappy bowl games yesterday, by the way. Which
the first one was good. The first one was
all
good.
right. The first one was all right, but the rest
Houston
of them
and Auburn
were
was a good
crappy.
one.
But I do have to go back to Easy's tweet about the Madden video. And look, guys, this is a 3-segment thing to me here today. So just
I told you to take it 8 if you need to.
There's so many angles to this that I want to talk about. And he was such a big part of people's lives, and I think that we forgot. Certainly we forgot. But I got to take umbrage with Easy's tweet. You know, as you know, he said, "Hey, fix the game." And Sawyer, you're guilty of this too. So you get on that microphone
These guys
too.
aren't kids.
Yeah, you get on that microphone too.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
Put
I know
your
you are.
Settlers of Catan.
Yeah,
Settlers of
I know
Catan,
that I don't have to go
those
far to find you, Sawyer. But you were guilty of this as well. Had it been played out a little bit? Did Sawyer think it was a cash grab or something like that? Yeah, but you know what, Easy? And you know what, Sawyer? $7 billion in revenue says, you know what? The game was fine, Sawyer. Madden's fine, just fine the way it is.
Can I, Sawyer, before you chime in for the defense, can I just make a point in that you said, Neil, I think to Easy's point is that we all agree that NCAA football, the gameplay, is what they say move on. To your point, for $7 billion, don't mail it in with this guy's legacy, improve the game, because my question is who do you think should be on the cover for 2022? Well, it's got to be John Madden, right? So here's the thing. So get your stuff together, get the gameplay up to what we loved in NCAA, right? Because we can all agree, other than Tecmo Bowl, which that's sort of our sort of thing, 4 plays. That's all I want, right? Run, patch, cast, kick, whatever. To go back there is just the gameplay. Right, to move it up. But your point is why they won't, but my point is $7 billion is why they should.
No, and that's very idealistic of you, D. That's why I love you, D-Mac. You're a dreamer.
I am.
You're a dreamer, man.
I am.
I love it. And I'm giving you and Easy a hard time. I get what you guys are saying, but I'm still not wrong. $7 billion, Sawyer says it's fine. What do you need from the game? What do they need to change?
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't argue with $7 billion.
Right.
But, I mean, it kind of just hit a point around, like, Madden, 12 or 13, where it was just kind of like copy and paste from the past. Like the early Maddens, they were changing the game all the time, you know, adding hit sticks, like different juke moves, and like the gameplay, like what D-Mac was saying. So that's just the one thing that I was lacking on. And then nowadays, they just focus on Ultimate Team, like Harrison Metzler said in the chat. Like they just focus everything on that. Like don't put any resources into like franchise mode or like the Road to the Hall of Fame mode back in the day. That was legendary. You just make your own character and you take them all the way up to a Hall of Fame status. Yeah, it was great. And they just stopped doing that. And yeah, it's just disappointing, you know, because you have $7 billion. Like you can make an amazing game, but they just kind of send out the same stuff every year. But we do it to ourselves. Like,
quick question.
Because you continue to consume
we keep
it.
buying it. Yeah.
Quick question, right? So, and you mentioned that, you know, because Sawyer, like, that's sort of creating your own character no matter what sport is like the first player is like Red Dead Redemption doing whatever. Do you have a particular sport that you play that you love creating a character? Would it be if they had the franchise mode of the character in Madden football, that'd be your go-to? I say that because baseball, MLB, I always want to be a catcher. That's my guy. I'll run 162 games with that guy too, and he's pretty good. But what would your game be?
Football was always fun, but MLB The Show, Road to the Show is my favorite.
But to your point about the evolution of that game, and they've done new things, and even the video and the walk-offs, but the gameplay of that is how they evolve. So what about you, Neil? What?
Well, I mean, as far as like the Madden thing, because I went through the stretches of Madden like everybody else, where when I was a real little kid, it was Tecmo Bowl because that was like the first one that was out. Jesus. And then I evolved to the Madden because the graphics at the time were revolutionary. And, you know, they had the Madden. He got up looking out his ear hole, you know, like all that stuff. You know, those certainly were cool. And then that kind of evolved into the college football. But, I mean, you can't deny the impact. And we're going to take a segment or two, and we're going to talk about John Madden. We got more clips and everything like that. And you forget, man. You forget. And again, I feel this way, I know, because I'm making it more about me than it is about Madden himself. Because I think if you look at how we are with vintage T-shirts and vintage music and all that stuff. It takes us back to probably a simpler time in our lives, and that's why we feel good about it. That's why we enjoy it. That's why we wear the shirts or play the games or listen to the music or all that stuff, because it makes us feel better. I don't know if you know this or not, but we're a very me-focused society, D-Mac, and I'm no exception.
Nostalgia, but why isn't that the object, to feel better?
Yeah, no,
Nobody
it
wants
is,
to
and,
feel
and
like
that's
crap.
and it does, and it makes you smile, and it takes you back to a simpler time in your life. So we're going to talk about it for a little bit on our YouTube chat thread. Hello, everyone. It's Tammy. I'm getting Aunt Jackie online. Aunt Jackie, what
Aunt
up, though?
Jackie!
Yeah, absolutely. Good to have you with us here today. Stephen Baffey, this is a generation or 5 that grew up learning football from John Madden. He was our football father, and I will miss him. The coaching numbers, too, which we'll talk about, I think, when we come back, because that's where it all really started from. But, hey, let me tell you guys about mybookie.ag. The bowl games are going on. As Fish said, there was a good one. The early one was pretty good. Louisville Air Force was a good football game yesterday. I drew a line in the sand yesterday. I did turn off West Virginia, Minnesota after the first quarter. I said, I'm not taking this anymore. But hey, if I was going to get down on, I was, taking a look at the live lines and keeping up with everything that was going on.
Was there over-under on timeouts by the defense in the one game?
100. But if they had that line, you could do it at mybookie.ag. They got one of the best promos in the game going right now. They'll double your first deposit up to $1,000 with the promo code Woodward. And look, the NFL is in full swing right now. We're coming down the stretch. Super Bowl is on the horizon. College football playoff on Friday. Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Georgia. You're going to be watching it anyway, guys. So get down on it. And use some bonus money to do it as well. They'll double your first deposit all the way up to $1,000 at mybookie.ag. Got the site open on the computer right now. Very smooth interface, very clean. Everything's easy to understand. Everything's easy to see. All of that. So look, it's a great experience. It's a great sports wagering experience. And oh, by the way, they'll double your first deposit up to $1,000 with the promo code Woodward. I can't click the mouse for you guys. I can't click it on your phone. I can't do it. You have to do it. All you got to do is put Woodward in there, double that first deposit up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Have a problem with sports gambling, perhaps? Call 1-800-270-7117, the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline. It's mybookie.ag.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We're recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand.
Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10 and a half months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
Hire a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Your Detroit alternative to the normal sports blah, blah, blah. It's Woodward Sports.
Detroit #1.
And there's one quarterback that would audibilize to enough. There are a lot of quarterbacks that would audibilize out of an option, but there aren't any that would audibilize into it.
Eric Kramer has been, well, those tell you the story, those statistics.
Well, the thing that's impressive here is how he spread it out. Look, Willie Green has caught 2 touchdowns and 8 passes. Mike Farr has caught 5. Barry Sanders hasn't run, but he's caught 5 passes. Herman Moore has caught 4. Brett Perryman, who we didn't even think would play, caught 3. Robert Clark, the other starter who we didn't think would play, caught 2. And then there was even a guy in the stands. Remember him? He caught 1 for 35 yards. That guy right there. He still got it. Spreading it out.
He's got the ball put away.
He's holding on to that, baby.
No one's going to get that football from him.
Oh, man. John Madden, everybody. The best. And, again, I get nostalgic because I go back to that Lions winning a playoff game, and he called it. The only TV color commentator in modern NFL history to call a Lions playoff win to this day.
That's a stat in itself.
That's probably his largest accomplishment. Yeah, you can have $7 billion in video game sales and winning Super Bowls and all that stuff. He actually called a Lions playoff win. Let that resonate for a minute.
Mind blown, bro.
It absolutely is mind blowing. Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty, back with you. Happy to have you with us on Big D Energy. Woodward Sports Network, also available on the radio on Detroit's new all-sports alternative, 93.5 The Roar, also on 99.1 FM and 94.7 HD2 as well. But, yeah, we're talking John Madden for a little bit here. We are, because it made me feel good, obviously not hearing the news that he died. But as you know, D-Mac, if we do these shows, we know each other very well. It's that thing where it always, for whatever reason, and maybe I'm weird like that, it always kind of makes me smile. Because the first thing I think about is not the fact that they're gone, it's the fact that, you go back and you go through all the moments and everything like that. And those were good times, man.
If you bring it down, obviously, you take it to the Thanksgiving Day games, the different giving out the turkeys and, being here in Thanksgiving. That's the one thing I'll remember, especially being here in Detroit because of the Thanksgiving Day games and how important those are, not only with families, but tradition and stuff like that. And John Madden is in the fabric of North American, and I'll speak on us Canadians that are close to. Everybody knows who John Madden is. I mean, he's transcendent and stuff, but football, and I think it was the compassion that you felt that he had when he talked, because he had those sayings, and he made you feel like he wasn't like that jolly grandfather, but he was like your favorite uncle. Right, he's the one that's sneaking you the candy bar or giving you $20 or whatever like this. He always had the wisdom, right? There was always wisdom in what he said. My favorite thing, Sawyer, if you'd show the people, is speaking of Thanksgiving, is I never knew what a turducken was until John Madden explained to me, and I was hooked.
Thanksgiving. I just wonder where those turkeys are going to be for Thanksgiving.
I have a feeling I know. Kevin Barlow. Well, John, for years at CBS and Fox, it became a tradition, the turkey leg and all of that, and you brought to the
that thing always looked good as hell too, didn't it? That turducken.
That's the whole point, right?
4 seasons cooked you a
It's
turducken.
not.
That is.
I think it's a turducken.
And the way
turducken, but I got to show you how to. I can't show you. I need fresh turducken. I'm going to have crazy turducken. But anyway, here's how you slice it. See, a lot of people don't know. You have to slice it down the middle, and then you slice it across.
There's always knowledge. Whether he's talking football, he's talking food, he's whatever else on it, you would always pick up these little nuggets, right?
Right.
Like turkey, chicken, duck. I mean, and you cut it in this way, and then you get in the bite. Like, that's just, to me, the fabric.
And it was every Thanksgiving.
Every Thanksgiving.
And then the turkey leg, and then the Lions always playing, and Barry with the turkey leg.
And you know what? Maybe it was just like what is a turkey drug? The tetrachlorophene or whatever.
That's
but
like
John Madden was like that for us Lions fans to glaze over some bad football because that was tradition. Like Santa Claus, right? You have Pat and John, and you're sitting around, you're waiting to see who is going to get from the offensive line, who is going to be chopping on those big drumsticks, who was getting the pie, but it was the way that he explained it, and the way that he would bring the comedy, like you said, in the game. Oh, he's looking through his ear hole.
Yeah.
Or, where did that truck come from? All these different. He's got so many sayings. So.
Yeah, Robert on our YouTube chat thread. Easy is obviously a millennial. Back in the day, we had Pong, an electronic football game where players vibrate in all directions. EA revolutionized sports video games. Jake Wegener says, Madden games a great example of competition make things better. They were good back in the day, but have continued to go downhill since being the NFL exclusive. Nick C says they stopped revolutionizing anything because no matter what, people bought it every damn year. And that's what Sawyer said. Sawyer said he's guilty of it. And that's why I give Sawyer credit. He'll raise his hand and say, I'll complain about it, but I did what I'm complaining about right now. David Mentier said it's almost like a subscription. Once a year, you have a $60 expense on Madden. You still buying it, Sawyer? No, you quit buying it.
No, I'm done buying Madden.
Are you really?
Until they actually fix it, yeah. Done with Madden and done buying Call of Duty.
Really?
So, yeah.
See, I'm not off that train yet.
Yeah, this is actually the worst selling Call of Duty since, the
fans are uprising!
Yeah. People are finally stopping buying it, yeah. Because they went back to World War II for the 20th time in the franchise's history, but that's
yeah,
off
but
topic.
they go back there for me because I'm like that history guy. I'll buy it every time. I can't play them, but I like collecting them. Thank you again. As always, we can rely on the feed. Tryptophan. Did I spell it?
Tryptophan. That's what it is.
That's
yeah.
what it is. The fans. What do we call this?
The chat.
The chat never lets us down.
No, they never do.
Never. And then, speaking of that, from yesterday, quick upgrade. Red Wings, $990 million. They're only worse. That seems low.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you had a big hand in helping that value. There is no doubt about that.
Did I?
Yeah.
I did. No. Past life.
Absolutely. AC says duck tastes bad. I don't know, but it always looked good. That whole turducken thing looked phenomenal.
But here's the thing: the duck don't taste as duck plain when you have the chicken and turkey in it. You just get that subtlety to it.
Tony Pasta, most people under 40 do not realize what a great coach he was. And Tony, I knew he won a Super Bowl, but the numbers were incredible. 700 winning percentage. And this was actually something I did want to touch on because he was almost the Buffalo Bills before the Buffalo Bills. How they went to 5 AFC championship games, didn't win any of them, and finally broke through and won a Super Bowl and beat the Minnesota Vikings like everybody else who played the Minnesota Vikings in the Super Bowl.
Does it go to show you, and it goes back to the comment that I said earlier about winning at least one in football is probably the biggest accomplishment because you can carry it throughout, because you never heard the Buffalo Bills talk about, the Raiders because, like you said, like the comment said, if you're under 40, you don't know that. The Buffalo Bills going to 4 straight AFCs and stuff like this. You look at like a Aaron Rodgers. He won one early in his career. He sort of gets, the leeway, but you nail it when it comes down to that big game, especially at home. He can't get through it. Right? Is this the year
and that helped
he gets
his credibility, I think, ultimately, as far as being a commentator, the video game thing. That Super Bowl was valuable for him to get.
So valuable, and I think that here's the thing. The perseverance to get there showed a lot about who the man was. I mean, I know a little bit about that, right? It's just to keep getting back up on the horse. We experienced it around here, and I'm sure we're going to experience it again, hopefully for the first time with the Lions and with the rest of our sports team. But you'll be climbing that mountain, and the next level of the suck is being good enough to get there and not getting there. And that's what John Madden, so to be able to get the guys to believe in it and then finally to have the Jim Plunkett's to be to be able to go through it. But there's so many great Hall of Fame players that went through, the Raiders, and you look at to this day the fan base, right? And you got to think that right there, you think of Al Davis, but you also think John Madden hip and hip when you think of Raiders.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, let me tell you something about a night out, what goes hand in hand with a night out. That's the Folding Warehouse in Hamtramck, the original football bowling pin game called Folding. That's right. They're the creators of it all. You can host a corporate party, team building event, or just pop in with family and friends, do an unlimited open play option, reserve private lanes, however you want to do it. And, of course, it's a great social setting as well. Multiple full bars. They have over 100 beers available for you to consume while you play your Folding. A $2 mystery beer vending machine. One of the greatest concepts, one of the greatest novelties, I think, in the history of entertainment of all time. Sawyer can attest. One time, got a Colt 45. Another time, got an old Milwaukee, and he loved it because that's Sawyer.
I can't wait till he goes back.
And that's how Sawyer rolls.
Round 3.
Yeah, we gotta pull up on the Folding Warehouse again. Your friends are doing it. Your coworkers are doing it. Your family members are doing it. If you haven't been down there, do it. You'll be stunned at how good of a time it is. The drinks going, everything. It's just a good night out, everybody, in Hamtramck. Go get your foal on. Go to foldingwarehouse.com. It's the Folding Warehouse.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Follow us everywhere. Just search Woodward Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, IG, and more.
Off and running, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. My name is Neil Rule. He's D-Mac, Darren McCarty. Joey Bell will be back after the holidays conclude. We got Fish in the Bowl, Sawyer in the booth. You know the squad. You know the players at this point. But just wrapping up this John Madden discussion here. And it hit me, it hit me different, I guess you would say. And again, that's more about me, I guess, than it is about Madden, where when I was little kid, into the early 90s, the mid 90s, certainly, the teenage years, the high school years, all that stuff, football was a big part of my life. And if you watched a football game on television, there was a 80% chance that John Madden and Pat Summerall were calling it. And here's why. Robert brings up a good one on our YouTube chat thread. And tap in. You got some comments. We read them as we go on here at Big D Energy. Madden equaled honesty and passion. And it was so authentic that you couldn't question it.
And you know what it was, Neil? When you saw they were on a game, you knew it was a big game.
And
it was the biggest game of the week. And here's the one thing that you've heard me say, and John Madden was, not the first guy, but one of the guys that was adamant about it. It's not about, it's about winning at the end, but it's all about the journey towards it. It's like I say, the destination's an oasis. It's all about, enjoying the journey. And John Madden realized that. So Robert says about honesty and passion, nobody brought that across more, right, than him as far as football. And Sawyer, I want to show everybody one of my favorite because I didn't realize, but you can really break down anything. And the intricacy, and this is so important as we get into these bowl games, the championships, the Super Bowl. I don't know if you knew this or not, but this is so important, brought to you by John Madden.
There's we see the buckets. Now there's a third bucket this week. I think what happened, there's always been like a mother and father. Like this is a father bucket, this is a mother bucket. And since the last game, they had a baby bucket. So this is a baby bucket. So they got 3 now. There always been 2. One's going to go to Parcells, one's going to go to another assistant, and one will go to a player later in the game.
I guess that clears up the question as to whether they're married or not.
They got married. Yeah, they got married in that baby bucket.
Just the way that, and what I love about that is just the subtlety of 2 guys that love the game, throw them back and forth. You can tell that they're friends, but then they break it down. The buckets always got the stats, right? You always got the stats. 12 pounds. Didn't know that. I had the kid, but there you go. So, and my favorite thing too is the way he'd mess up. How everything would make sense, but it looked like a freaking dolly painting or something like that with the telestrator at the end. And I don't know, he'll be missed, but that's the great thing about being able to go back. And as Fish said, anybody who wants to see the Madden documentary that Fox did on his life, of everything on his life, it's on FS1 tonight, right?
Yeah, no, it is, and it will be streaming too as well. I think a lot of platforms are going to have it. I saw... Steve says, I checked the All Madden doc, is on Peacock. It's going to be on Tubi, Hulu, ESPN Plus. And so it will be everywhere, but again, it'll be on tonight.
It's bigger. Like, the community gets that this is bigger. It's more important, like, when these things happen to somebody who's such a big part of people's lives, that they sort of come together. Now, everybody's getting paid, I'm sure, but the fact that the accessibility. So it doesn't have to be like when we were kids and wait till next week.
Right. No, but I'm glad I watched it, I guess, is the moral of the story. And I went right back to him calling that Lions playoff win, D-Mac, because that's what it all came back to. So, again, just cross-generational, man. And I think that's really coming to light. And I think it's hitting us all in the head here today that just, again, you go to Sawyer, to me, to you, to my parents and stuff like that. I mean, it's incredible. To reach across that, to be in the fabric. And on the documentary, too, if you haven't had a chance to see it, make sure you do check it out. He was the spokesman for football for a decade, man. The more than a decade. The Miller Lite commercials. Like, he started that, too. Like, the whole athlete commercial coach, broadcaster commercial thing. He's the one that really brought that to the forefront. Because remember, he would do the Miller Lite commercial. They'd have like all the players and everything like that.
Well, that makes it like that
it's
transition, and like you said, to who the person is, but transitioned into the, from off the field into the TV, into the commercials, into the video games and stuff like that. I mean, that's where it is. What do we right? When was the first Madden, Sawyer?
89, right?
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
So, so that's what I'm saying, right? That's where it goes down to wow, because it's a duration. It's like a band. It's like a television show. I mean, it's like the, it's like the Simpsons in sort of a way that everybody knows who Bart Simpson is, knows who Homer Simpson is.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things. Eastside Meech on our YouTube chat thread says, I was just watching Little Giants. I forgot he was in that movie. That's where it hits you in the head. You forget, because there was just so much that he was part of the fabric of. Robert says, back to my Vin Scully point, the greatest announcers always entertain us more with personal, off-topic stuff. And I'll tell you guys this, too, as somebody that is in the play-by-play field for a living. I've always said, like, when people say, what kind of style do you do and stuff like that? Like, my style is exactly what Robert's talking about. I didn't go to Syracuse. I'm not the most polished, smoothest voiced play-by-play guy. You know what I am? I'm your buddy sitting next to you watching the game at your house or at the bar stool. That's what I am. And I go to all that too. I try to describe people in the crowd, and if I find something interesting to me, then I think it's interesting to you. Like numbers, so I do a lot of college sports, as you guys know. And Division I basketball players, obviously, are very, very good high school players. And the guys that scored like 3,000 points in high school and stuff like that. I try to dig deep and find out stats like that because they're entertaining to me. And that's what John Madden was.
No.
He did it in a way that was entertaining to you. It was so complicated, as you said. I think you brought up the best point out of all this. When he would diagram plays, and it was so complicated, but it was easy to understand John.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's just the translation that he could turn that teacher hat on. And didn't play for him, obviously, but his record or how he's revered by his players goes to show his understanding. And that came across, right? A lot of times you tune in, and John Madden, Pat Summerall were must-see because if they were doing Thursday night games right now, you tune into every game to listen to them, to watch them, because they would make it entertaining. They could make the most points. But you felt all these guys, the Vin Scullys, right? The Musburgers, even the guys people don't like, Joe Buck, or they do like, but you tune in because you know what you're going to get. And I like the fact that I want to be able to relate to the guy calling it. And, I was always, that was what Mike Baker, who hired me at Versus, back in the day, was he said, just pretend you're sitting at the bar with your buddies.
Yeah.
That's how you want to explain it to them. And to your point, you do a good job. But John Madden, when you can take somebody who hasn't seen it, and I try to do that for somebody who didn't grow up watching hockey. So with hockey, it's tough to learn on TV, right? You go to a live game, I can point things out, boom, then you're hooked, but you also get that Jones of it. So it's all about different ways to do it, but he was the best at football.
Rack on our YouTube chat thread. I have no idea Tenactin existed if it wasn't for John Madden. Mark
Quick acting Tenactin.
Boom. Tough acting Tenactin. Yeah. Mark Guy says, I haven't felt this kind of sadness since Keith Jackson's passing. My childhood was filled with their commentary. May they rest in peace. Thanks for the memories. And Keith Jackson, one of my all-time. People ask me that one of my all-time favorites as well. I did like. We're talking about like the common man stuff. And E. Schaffer says, Neil, that's the best kind of play-by-play to do. We're talking about the common man stuff. where that was something that John Madden did so well, and that's why it resonated with people. There is no question about that, and that's something where I try to mix that in the game as well. So it's just everybody's just kind of telling those stories right now, and it is a lot of fun. Matt Carey, Keith Jackson on the Michigan games was some of the best. But that's why I like Brent Musburger, though. Talk about the common man stuff. He was the first to kind of mix in the betting lines, low key.
And that's the whole, if you go back, and I think so now, right, because it's more prevalent. There's betting everywhere, the legalities, so to talk about it. But then when you listen to his old calls where he's trying to slide it in there, off the cuff or whatever like that. But he was the first guy that when you're younger, you're going, I think he might bet. Right? I think, right, where he don't bet and not saying that.
And that made people love him more.
That's what I'm saying, is that he had a vested interest in giving what he called because he believed in it for whatever reason. It doesn't matter why you have the passion for it. It's just finding that angle and explaining the flow.
Yeah, what do you got, Fish?
I'm sure you guys are more smarter than me and you already knew this, and this is old news, but Brent Musburger, many of you guys think he's retired. He's retired because
radio
he
guy
does
for the Raiders.
The radio guy for the Raiders, yes.
No, he's not.
He's in there.
Yeah. He does a great job, by the way.
Because he's one of the best to ever do it,
He
too.
is one of the best to ever do it, too. I loved him on ESPN when he did those Saturday night games.
Yeah.
Best.
You are looking live. Yeah. I mean, between players' wives and betting lines, man, Brent Musburger was as common man as it gets.
But that's the connection. That dude, the connection to the common man.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony Pasta, this is the best show on the network. Tony, appreciate you, man. Just trying to, again, man, I like sports the same way you guys do, man. I just want to sit here talking about it, and I value your guys' opinion. You guys make this thing go too. Don't get that twisted.
I'm just talking about all of this just so I can squeeze some wrestling in at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? I'll try to squeeze in at some point. Gypsy vodka.
Show him the bottle because, listen, I don't know what falls down quicker, my stool or your vodka, right? And Stick, don't worry, it's only been one time. Fish fixed it. We might be all right. Yes, guys, I'm having trouble with my chair still. But, Neil, are you having trouble with vodka?
I've never had trouble with this bottle of Gypsy vodka. 50 different formulas, countless taste tests. They arrived at the best tasting, smoothest vodka in the vodka universe. Locally made, Petoskey. Local guys from Michigan. We had them in the studio a few weeks back. They were great to talk to. Really passionate. We were talking about Madden and passion and broadcasters' passion. They're passionate about what they do, and it shows because hey, I know a lot of people are into the bottles and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a cool bottle, but for me, I'm more into what's inside that bottle, and it is good tasting vodka. Throw it on there with some ice, some club soda, a couple limes. Away I go. Try a bottle today. You can ask for it by name. It's Gypsy Vodka. As always, drink responsibly.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Woodward Sports. Missed part of the show today? Watch again on YouTube or download the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Motoring along here, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network on a Wednesday. It is Wednesday, right?
Hump day!
Does anybody else lose track of the days between that Christmas and New Year's?
Every day's Saturday, bro.
Every day is Saturday. Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty, Fish in the bowl, Sawyer in the production booth. Good show here today. Happy to have everybody along for the ride on radio. Don't forget about the podcast page, too. Subscribe to Big D Energy on iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. Click subscribe. Latest episode goes right to your phone. You miss something, boom, boom. Rewind it, fast forward it, whatever you want to do. I was talking about the bowl games yesterday, and I flipped it off once they announced that they were running the Madden documentary, and it wasn't hard for me to do that. And I'm a big Mike Leach guy. and Lane Kiffin and all the characters. I like the character coaches. John Madden, I guess, certainly would be one of them. But as you guys know, the players are opting out everywhere across the board in the bowl games, and I don't begrudge them that. We've discussed that. You got to make a business decision.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of these guys, you see, Ohio State, Clemson, and all these big time teams and stuff like that until something's imposed, and obviously, what do you want to say? Crack in the armor, right? So it's something that needs to be addressed. But at the end of the day, this ain't the end of the line for a lot of these guys. Right, this is the beginning. This is the beginning, so you got to respect that.
No, absolutely. But Mike Leach did make some news as Mississippi State ended up getting punked in their bowl game against Texas Tech. And Mike Leach says players opting out of the bowl game is one of the biggest absurdities I've seen. You've got an obligation to the place that helped build and develop you and finish it out in the bowl. That's part of it. You owe it to your team. You owe it to your fans. You owe it to your coaches. And the most bizarre thing in the world to me, somebody says, well, I can't play one more game, Leach continued. They think that there's going to have a storied 10-year NFL career, and then they can't play one more college game. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, guys will go to the NFL, they'll make the Pro Bowl, and then they'll play in the Pro Bowl. It's one of the biggest absurdities that I've seen, and it's selfish, too. And this hurts me to talk about because I do like Mike Leach, and we all like Mike Leach. And if anything, I stand with Mike Leach because he's a brother in my going on a decade-long fight against candy corn. And really to rid ourselves of candy corn once and for all. So I stand with Mike Leach in that. However, D-Mac, on this, it hurts me to say it's easy for the guy making $5 million a year to say that. I can't get past that. I can't, and I never will. I'm sorry, I can't.
And it sounds like a guy that missed out on his bowl bonus. For something that he wanted. I think it's just absurd at the end of the day when you're talking about livelihood. Like, my first thing is, aren't you, he said in his quote about the obligations to a place, that has brought you to where you are, but isn't the obligation of the college, isn't it trying to get you to the next level if that's where you're going? And as a coach, if I'm a college coach or a junior hockey coach or a minor hockey league coach, I'm about the development in my player. Right, so if that's the goal, and at the end of the day, I don't see how. Then you go to where's the dollar at? Ooh, well, be quiet. When it's that big, right? And it shouldn't be. Look at what the dollar is and be quiet, because it should be the thing about it. If it's about the kids, and this kid's saying I'm not playing because I don't want to jeopardize this money that's pretty much guaranteed. These kids that are sitting out, Neil. Right? These are kids that they're looking to get paid. Like, they're investing. I'm going to sit out of this because it's going to benefit me financially in the long run, and to play would only be a detriment.
Or it can't hurt me. It can't hurt me.
Or it can't hurt me. But when it can, so then now it's the responsibility of the coaches or the colleges or the NCAA to put something in place to be able to balance that. Because if there's nothing there that's just bad business. As an investment, as a player. Now, I'd always want to play and never. I'm not the one to worry about the money, right? Like stuff like that. But
that's
being
cool.
said,
that's the way you're built. Like, that's cool. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You do you. You do the stuff you want to do.
Exactly. But it's about opportunity, right? And we're talking because this isn't professional. And yes, Coach Leach, you are getting paid
a lot.
Unfortunate, a lot. These kids aren't, right? So until that is worked out to where these kids can give those kids an option, right? Where kids saying, oh man, if I play I get this or whatever like that, it's a benefit to play. So to each their own, right, Neil?
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Matt says, I have to say these kids need to do what's best for them. A blown knee on a given first-round pick will cost that kid money. Is college going to do anything for them? No. The answer is no. Pros opt out of the Pro Bowl too, as Matt said, which certainly they do. And it always goes back to what Drew Hunt says here. Ask Jake Butt's draft stock about the bowl game. And yes. Actually, he's been on this network before. He was on with the Bottom Line. And I respect Jake Butt a lot. I wouldn't have made the same decision if it were me that he did. But I really enjoy listening to Jake Butt talk about the fact if I knew what the outcome was, I would do the same thing. I would have it no different because it was important to him to play in that game, to play in that bowl game for the Michigan program, all that kind of stuff. I get that. 100% I do. And you know what? Jake Butt was in that situation where he could make the call. Consequently, these guys are in that position where they can make the call. And for me, the reward just isn't there. I get the lifelong memories. I get the win a bowl game for Michigan. I get all that. But that's not going to take care of me when you play this game. D-Mac, how's your body physically? You're ship shape, right? Tip top, everything's fine, right? You played in the NHL for over a decade. I'm sure you're fine, right? There's no issues.
It's better, but it's taken a lot
of beating.
No. I mean, it's not. It'll never be the same.
Never be the same.
And you still feel it at different. The weather changes. The pressure. Thank goodness that there's options out there to help relieve that and stuff like that. But I mean, it's such that's the whole thing. Ask somebody who's been there that regrets the decision and why it wouldn't be. Insurance isn't like the insurance policy. The insurance means that at the end of the day, if something happens to this kid and he can say, okay, well, worst case scenario, my career ended, but I made that decision because I have this to fall back on, right? Something's got to be in place where it's just not hung out to dry. And I don't know that. I don't have the answer, but this is something that we said it all along with this NIL or whatever like this. It's a Wild West. Now they got to figure out how to reel it in and what it means, and is it sponsorship or is it this, that? They don't even know. But again, why? Because an energy guy is running the committee in the NCAA. That's the why. End of story.
Oh, and AC says a lot of guys don't make it beyond college, so the degree helps. The college always going to be there, though, AC. That's always been my point of contention. The colleges have proven they ain't going anywhere. So, and I say ain't for effect, to quote Ryan Armani. The college will not be going anywhere. You can always go back there. I know I went to Fraser High School. We had a major league pitcher come out of there, Pat Henkin.
Yeah.
Certainly one of the best to ever do it if you stack up the resumes. I remember reading that he wrote it in his contract with the Blue Jays when he signed that they would take care of his college education. If things didn't work out, he flamed out, he wanted to go back to school, the Toronto Blue Jays would pay for it. I mean, there are things that you can do, in order to ensure what happens.
To the point about NIL and whatever, it's given you an open book to sort of write what is that. I don't have the answer. I don't have the time to worry about it, right? But somebody else does, and they should figure this out. Because it's not like, oh, well, we can't do it this way. No, can't do it that way. Can't do it that way. But the rules have been opened up so much more that it's like programming, I guess, computer programming. Somebody write the new program and see how it works. But it doesn't seem that, but we all know that's not going to happen because the NCAA at the end of the day doesn't care. Because I don't know if that's an eyeball test thing or if it's a statistics thing or whatever. I don't know which way they're going to judge it. But they should know they have a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob J says, let Jake Butt speak for Jake Butt, which exactly I'm in lockstep with. And I give him a lot of credit because that's what he wanted to do. And so he did it. And again, he said that to the effect of, if I had to do over again, I'd do the same thing. So credit to him, man. That's cool. Good for you. But then obviously the discussion always turns to this. And X, the Real Method X, says the NCAA should allow schools to offer insurance policies based on a consultant's report of the player's draft stock in case something happens in the bowl game, which they do to some effect. But those insurance policies they're never designed to quote unquote make you whole. Just from a whole, right. You're always going to lose money through those insurance policies. You're always going to lose income opportunities that you would have had. They can't speak to future endorsement deals, all that kind of stuff. But guys, this is the way it is now.
Right,
this is the way it is.
And at the end of the day, it's always choice. So if whatever the deal isn't up to snuff, kids should have the option not to play for the betterment, and it's an individual choice.
Right. It is, and I'll never hate on someone that wants to, again, that wants to say, hey, I'm not putting it on the line here. I'm not. I'll never say anything about that. And it hurts me.
When there's another level, when there's a goal, when there's something else that you've been working for, you know what I mean? Because to everybody else, different things, different championships, school, finishing school, getting an education, winning a championship or whatever, or getting to the pros or whatever it is. Everybody else has whatever their priority is. Now, sometimes when you have great teams and the top teams, right, it's that buy-in mentality. So we just need things to change.
Yeah.
Things have to change, or else you're going to find, if they don't, more and more and more and more. Because why would you play unless you were playing for a national championship?
It hurts my soul, though, to come out of Sawyer. I'm hurting, man.
Yeah, but they ripped you hard this year by the Hawaii Bowl, so they kicked you right in the plums. Like they didn't just like slap you back in the head or just like trip you on the way by. They just eyed you up and kicked you right where it hurt.
They did too.
So you know what? You know that pain. It's sort of how they can't really get you anymore.
Me right now.
It is. I know.
It's callousing.
You're going to lose you guys. You don't want to lose the golden rule. Once he's gone, he's gone.
The biggest Hawaii Bowl proponent there is out there. But, Sawyer, it hurt my soul when you sent that over to me about Mike Leach, man.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it to you, but
you did it.
You had
anyway.
to talk about it, you know?
The truth. Sawyer, all about the truth at the end of the
Gosh,
end
man.
of the day. That's three.
That's sound.
That's three.
Yeah. AC says, this is why I love coaches like Izzo and Calipari. They have no negative attitudes towards players moving on. And that is why I like John Calipari, too. Because he says, I don't want you to stay here.
There it is, right?
He's honest about it.
But the print, that's the whole thing.
But he's the bad guy all the time.
But is he?
Not if I were a player.
No, because there it is. You know what's expected when you go there. The one and dones is to get you to the next level and stuff like this. Maybe we see this more because that's the whole thing. When you have coaches going, hey, I only need you for a year or 2 years, then you know, whatever it is. So who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. But man, that hurt me to hear that. To hear Mike Leach say that and have to come out publicly disagree with Mike Leach because that's my guy, but I think he's wrong on this one. Woodward Sports Network got you covered for the Orange Bowl pregame show. Braylon Edwards, Stick, and Adam. They'll be right here in studio live on Woodward Sports from 5:30 until 7:30 on New Year's Day. Former Michigan wide receiver Braylon Edwards will share his insight to the game, and we will preview the big matchup in the Orange Bowl, Michigan v. Georgia, for a spot in the national championship game. COVID providing, I guess you got to say it like that, man. You do right now, which we'll take a look. And guys, I know we're tired of talking about it. I know we are, but there are some inconsistencies, I guess, around the whole COVID situation with college football. We'll discuss that when we come back. It is Big D Energy right here on the Woodward Sports Network.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. I'm proud to partner with Hall Financial, the mortgage company known for 5-star service. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their 5,000 5-star reviews for yourself. Go to callhallfirst.com and get started with your 5-star experience today.
What's the over-under? Should I tease? Who is the lock of the night? Make sure you're watching Woodward Bets to get the latest in sports betting and more. Woodward Bets daily on Woodward Sports.
Pulling up all in the second hour of the show, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network, Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty, Joyke Bell will be back after the new year. Fish in the bowl, Sawyer in the production booth. Happy to have you all with us today as we keep churning our way towards certainly New Year's Eve, the college football playoff. As you see the helmets here, Michigan v. Georgia, and everything that goes along with it. New Year's Day bowl games, but Fish, I'm crushed about that. They have flat out, and I'm not speaking out against the college football playoff. I'm not, because I do enjoy it. My problem is the timing of the games, because these games, on New Year's Eve don't work. Check the ratings. They're always disappointing, because I know that this is blasphemous to say, and it probably won't be the case here because Michigan fans are starved for it, but it will be the case across the country. People got other stuff going on, man.
I say that every time they put it on New Year's, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're stupid."
No, you are stupid. You are stupid about
it.
New Year's. Fish, I would never say you're stupid. You're not stupid. You're misinformed about New Year's Day. The ratings they smash.
Everybody's hungover and laying on the couch.
And you've already chalked it up. You've already chalked up New Year's Day. I'm watching football. I mean, the guys and I would get together, and I mean, just 11 a.m. till the end of the Sugar Bowl. I mean, just straight through. My wife knew it. Everybody knew it. It was written in. As they like it. It was baked into the price of New Year's Day.
And it's funny because New Year's Eve day, works. Like, people watch on New Year's Eve day, but once the night comes,
they got stuff going
Yeah.
on, man. Again, like the common football fan in Butte, Montana, is going over to the family's New Year's Eve party.
Yep.
And I know that those parties, especially now, given the climate we're in, which we'll discuss in a couple of minutes, I know those parties aren't what they once were. But at the same time, D-Mac, people got stuff going on, man. On New Year's Eve, they do.
No, absolutely. And even, we see different things, mandates throughout. I think, like you mentioned before the break, it's a inconsistency of who's playing, also who's gonna be in. Like, if you're a fan, even if you're a Michigan fan, like you said, right, because they've been starving for it to be dialed in, but at the end of the day, are you making backup plans just in case something happens and this game doesn't go on? You know what I'm saying? We're in a different right, like everybody
man,
else.
What a time we're in right now.
But does that not make sense? Is that, hey, you come into I'm going to watch the Michigan game, but if not, we'll meet down there earlier. I mean, you look at New York City, the biggest ball drop, the biggest party of the year. They got mandates for the city. Now they're shutting things down. So, New Year's Eve doesn't seem like, but here's the difference, right? From back in the day, now you have playoffs, right? So you have 4 teams. So you need that playoff game to get to the next, to the next weekend or whatever. Where New Year's Day used to be it.
Right.
This was it. It was easy to say, hey, honey, New Year's Day, I'm going with the boys and whatever like that, because there was no next weekend. There was no more games. That was it. I mean, that's sort of what I think the NCAA and whatever with the bowls or with the playoffs or whatever needs to put it more in stone so people can plan around it and then they know.
Well, my thing
you're never going to win against New Year's Eve.
No, you're not.
You're never going to win against New Year's Eve.
And here's why, guys. I'll break this down for you. And I think I'm a pretty good example of this. You got 3 kids, two teenagers, and my baby girl's 6 years old, right? She's so hyped for New Year's Eve because she gets to stay up late. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, let her, if she can make it till midnight, make it till midnight or whatever. She's so hyped for that.
Yeah.
And those are the things. And I talked earlier about this, about how when we were discussing Christmas and all that stuff, for me, it's really come into vision where that clock is ticking.
The Hawaii Bowl.
But that clock is ticking to where, and I'm not the best at this, but I start to realize that this isn't a fact of life. This isn't a given that this is going to happen all the time. They're getting older now, like that's the way it is. And you don't get these every single year for long. You don't. And she gets to stay up late and do all that stuff. That's special to her. So that's part of it, though. Am I going to have the game on in the living room? Yes, I am. But D-Mac, honestly, am I going to be able to give it that attention like if I were New Year's Day?
What it needed.
And there's a million dads in America that are going to be in the same boat.
Right, and then that's by choice. Not like you have to choose, but I mean, us as men or as parents or whatever, take that time. That's a special thing. That only comes around once a year, especially with that age. It's like Christmas. How was Christmas this year with the younger kids as opposed to the older kids? That was always, there's that, when I talk about the transitions in sports, is the transitions in life when you have older kids that know the secret and the younger ones that don't. You watch the older ones who are too cool, but they play along.
But they perpetuate it.
They perpetuate it, and so I guess New Year's Eve, like you said, it's not going to get like how much you're going to have to go back and watch again, and it's one of these things that here, right, what's going to go on. You're going to listen to it. You're going to pass by the score. You're not going to pay attention unless it's close late. Then you're going to figure out maybe going to the office or I got to do this, whatever. But then you didn't
behind the job.
But hide behind the job. That's the best part about this job. But the whole thing is that it still doesn't. You didn't give it. And how many other? This is what I love. How many other men, women, sports fans of this will not give it the 100% that their sportsdom wants, right? That's to it too. It's about, man, I want to commit, right? How many people are committed on that Sunday, 1:00 to to the Lions for how many years?
You slice your life around it.
Right, exactly. At least now you could turn it off.
Even
first
now,
play in.
they're 2-12-1 or whatever they are. Even
right?
now, I'm going to watch it.
And that's like the appointment. We're programmed like this way. Well, you know what? Unfortunately, back to your point about the bowl games and numbers and stuff, we're programmed differently for New Year's Eve.
Right. What do you got, Fish?
On New Year's Eve, right, last year before COVID 2019, would you guys ever watch the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl that they'd always have on New Year's Eve? Would you guys have it on?
I would watch like the first half of it, and then like the kids were getting into it and stuff like that. And you know, like I don't know how you guys all do it, but we, you know, we'll cook the dinner and we kind of go all out with the steak and the seafood and all that stuff. And I'll have a couple of gypsies or what have you. You know, just I'm not going anywhere.
Sawyer, that lime garnish. Gone. The whole line. No. The whole line by the end of the night is gone. I'm just saying.
We matriculate our way through an entire line on New Year's Eve.
Matriculate. There's the word of the day, matriculate.
Because their reasoning is, okay, so people are having New Year's Eve party, either you're going to one or you're hosting or whatever. So they're like, what do you watch at a New Year's Eve party? Most people would choose... Yes, football. Normally the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's on, but you're not watching it.
I agree. So that's why they chose, because they had it in, 2016 when Ohio State got smashed by Clemson, like 59-0 or whatever, 49-3. So that's their reasoning. I don't know why they didn't learn from 2016, but
they're going to try it again because it's the NCAA, man, and they're going to keep doing it. They're going to speak it into existence.
Now, are they the biggest put the circle through the square? Like, try to make it work and put it together, like, sort of, with the little, like, not really worry about the consequences. It's sort of like taking the circle, ramming it in with the hammer into the square, getting it halfway there and realizing, maybe not, but just hammer it in anyway, right? That's how they do it. Instead of backing out and doing it right and looking at it, because they can't get anything right. Like, this is just another one on the list.
Here's what I don't understand, and this is the whole reason they do this, okay? The Rose Bowl's vice grip they have over college football, I'll never understand why. That's why this is the way it is. Because the Rose Bowl, no matter what, will be played at 5 o'clock Eastern time on New Year's Day. Yep. No matter what. That's how it is. That's how it's going to be. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it will always be. So they have to. We got to get Dan Wetzel on one of these days, and I need the answer to these questions as to what is this? West. Do they have blackmail material on the NCAA? Like what is it that the Rose Bowl has this vice grip over everybody? Because I'm going to tell you what, and this is actually going to play nicely going into what we talk about next. The Rose Bowl's time is over.
Well, it should be. It's been over for a while, and isn't it funny though? Because it reminds me of just the arrogance that the Rose Bowl has always had. They look at themselves as the belle of the ball, the queen, right? Where isn't the Orange Bowl where the championship's held, or the Sugar Bowl, or the Peach Bowl, where everybody wants to get to? The Rose Bowl is aloof, right? It's outdated. It's sort of like the stadium they play in, right?
Well, they had it one year where the semifinals was at the Rose Bowl.
Is that the finals, Fish?
It is not.
Thank you.
But it's the bigger game than the Rose Bowl typically is.
Right.
No, I get that, but it's not. But what I'm saying is how they look at themselves and what they have or how they are positioned. And it's a Pac-12. That's the thing that gets me, right? We're not talking about Texas, even, falling out of favor, but you can understand the powerhouse. We're talking about Miami, right? We're talking about, UCLA and out west Pac-12, which, when's the last Pac-12 team that's won? Ever.
Man, yeah, I know, right?
I'm just saying, to your point, thank you. Good crickets, Fish.
Yeah, it's been a minute. There is no question about it.
But to your point, it's out of touch. But again, follow. Oh, it's the NCAA. Out of touch. Goes with. At least they come by it honestly.
Yeah, I don't get the Rose Bowl's grip on everything. I don't understand it. I wish somebody could help me understand it.
Yeah, well, I think you know what it is.
No, honestly, I don't.
Take a wild guess, money.
Well, I mean, that's the answer to everything. But Rose Bowl, you're talking college football playoff.
But what Neil's trying to figure out is, okay, I get it. It's got to be money.
But how?
How is
Rose
it
Bowl
connected to the money? Because you can just say, "Oh, follow the money," but it's like, "Oh, like this guy's got blackmail because he's got more money than whatever else."
Like, how can it cost more to advertise on the Rose Bowl than it does a college football playoff?
With what you're getting in return. But it's not like it's
Right.
a panache. I'm not putting you in the Super Bowl. This ain't like this. We're not talking Super Bowl. We're talking Rose Bowl, right?
Yeah, I don't.
The parade,
I don't understand
all
it,
that
man.
schmozzle. I don't get it. Schmozzle.
Steve says can't stand the 35 or 16 bowl games unless it's the national semis or the finals, and you know I guess that's the price you pay, you know, for having this. But maybe they should cut out some of the bowl games. But then I guess if you did that, you cut out some of the bowl games, then all these bowl directors are going to be looking for a different career path.
OMG. How are they going to make $500,000 doing nothing? I know. Guys, start a new career in an industry that's always essential, the heating and cooling industry. Learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu. Neil Rule, D Mac, Sawyer Fish, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. Be right back.
Big D. Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
We love our sports. We just wish they'd love us back. Detroit sports for Detroit sports fans. Woodward Sports.
On and poppin', Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network, Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty, four-time Stanley Cup champion in the house. Fish is in the bowl. Sawyer is in the booth as well. Happy to have you all with us here today on the Woodward Sports Network, wherever you're watching, listening. Appreciate you doing it. Those of you tapping into on our YouTube chat thread as well. But we're talking Rose Bowl and the bowl system and players cutting out, not playing in the bowls. Coaches, are cutting out on jobs, taking different jobs, so they're just as guilty as anybody else. AC says the Rose Bowl the Rose Bowl gives the Sun Bowl treatment, but way better.
No, they don't. That's the problem. There's no Sun Bowl treatment at the Rose Bowl, and they should.
Yeah, absolutely. But, for me, and I know this is a shock, and I see a couple people talking about it where they might think this is wrong on our chat threads. The Rose Bowl is dying. It is. That's just the way it is. And look, I will always turn it on to see the views and that pink sky that they have at sunset and everything like that. And yes, it's cool, but it ain't as cool as a college football playoff to me, regardless of who's playing in it. And speaking of who's playing in it, if you think the Rose Bowl still has this cachet and everything, let's take a spin around Ohio State and see what they're looking like, because they're playing in the Rose Bowl against Utah. Let me see. I can't wait to see Chris Olave play in the Rose Bowl. Oh, he's opting out of the Rose Bowl. That's right, Chris Olave. Well, I'm sure Garrett Wilson will play. Nope, Garrett Wilson is not playing in the Rose Bowl as well. I guess it's just not special to him to play against Utah in the Rose Bowl. Haskell Garrett, he's out too, huh? Wow, this is a lot of production that's not playing for Ohio State. I guess it's not special anymore. I guess, you know what the Rose Bowl is?
Just
the Quick
another
Lane Bowl. Just another bowl game. Carson
City.
Strong didn't play in the Quick Lane Bowl. I guess that's what it is. And I know that's stunning, maybe upsetting to hear, but the Rose Bowl is no different than any other bowl. So if I'm the NCAA, you know what I'm doing? I'm putting my playoffs back on New Year's Day, and you'll see it this year. The ratings won't be as bad as they were the last time they did on New Year's Eve, because Michigan fans certainly are starved for it. They won't be as bad, but they ain't going to be as good.
So my question is, what changed?
I say aim for effect.
Yeah, just like Ryan. What changed, Neil? Why hasn't this been the case last year, the year before, 2 years before? Like, now it seems like it's a plethora. Is it because of the COVID? Is it because of that state? But most of these guys are opting out because of the contract and stuff like this. Why is it more of a big deal this year than it was in the past? You know what I'm saying? Like, why weren't the other guys going for national championships? You know, the Vince Youngs, the Cam Newtons, the guys that played in the big games, that won the big games. Like, why is it all of a sudden a thing now? Is it, or has it always been there? I know there's been guys that have opted out, but now you're seeing 4 guys that are NFL legit players, 4 guys, other guys, the Kenny
first round
Pickett's,
picks,
all first round picks. What? I know everything's cyclical, right? And follow the money. Is it because the money's too much now? There's too much money at stake for these players that in the past it wasn't worth it? Like, I don't understand. I'd like somebody to explain to me what changed. What changed?
The money, man. Hey, your line. Follow the money.
No. So the money changed as far as what these kids can get next level now.
Well,
what
actually,
they're turning around, or like why looking back did we only have maybe one guy, or 2 guys?
We've had
team.
guys get hurt. That's what changed, man. You had guys get hurt, and it affected their bottom line.
And everybody else saw that.
And they finally put 2 and 2 together
So
and said, "Who am I playing for?"
It's the same
here?
thing. Like it's so what we're seeing now in the NCAA is sort of like the seatbelt effect, right? The drunken driving effect. The sort of the conscience of this can happen. So
the reaction the reaction to it.
I'm just and so everybody's wise. I don't know, not wisening up, but more concerned on health and wellness and moving forward and individuality, right?
Right.
I think that's the whole thing is. I go back to the Deion Sanders. When we were raised, finish your plate, before you could leave the table. Finish your homework before you go outside. We weren't allowed to quit anything. Like that's.
But
I get
quitting,
it, but it's that mentality of the individual.
Yeah.
When you grow up that way, where you're team, right? Where somebody focuses and says to you and pulls you aside and goes, "Hey, you might want to look at it from this perspective." And you go, I never even saw it that way, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're getting right now because, you don't want to be the Jake Butt. You don't want to be this guy. You don't want to be this guy. Look what happened to them. And we're talking about millions and millions of dollars now, so back up.
AC said we'll still watch a Rose Bowl because of future Detroit Lions quarterback C.J. Stroud. So people will be tapping in to that, I guess. Robert says this is great news. Players backing out of the New Year's games means playoffs will be needed to be expanded to prevent TV ratings from dropping. You have to follow the money. But guys, that's a Band-Aid because
but isn't that what NCAA does?
Well, you're right.
It's a Band-Aid fest.
You're absolutely right. You're not wrong. But we're going to see the day, guy. I'm telling you, this is coming. Guys are going to dip from the playoffs too. They are.
Yeah. And why?
I think the name, image, and likeness will play a part in this because when Nike or Dr. Pepper sign somebody to a deal, when they say, "Hey, you're going to be with us through your NFL career as well. You're not playing in that game because you're not hurting our brand."
Either way, right? Either way. You're going to play in the game or you're not playing in the game, for all these top guys, which could affect. But again, that goes to your putting Band-Aids on things and sort of, here, let's try that. This is what they are. Let's try it this way. Oh, that didn't work? Well, it wasn't our fault. Let's do it this way. And you keep blazing this trail, but you leave the garbage instead of cleaning up the garbage behind.
Yeah. Joey 2 times says, I've been to the Rose Bowl. There's nothing special about it. It's just another stadium. Pasadena is all right, but again, nothing special. Honestly, it never made sense why it's so popular to begin with. And I think it's what I brought up earlier, right? The romanticism with the weather and
Rose
the shots,
Bowl parade, the
the sunshine, the California, all that stuff. And 70% of the country, there's snow on the ground where the rest of us are watching this, and we long for that, right? So we romanticize it because we see it, and summer's going to be coming up. The weather's so great there, and I think we overvalue it. There's no, I know I do. I raise my hand. I'm guilty. I'm like Sawyer buying Madden. I was buying it because that's what I'm programmed to do. I'm programmed to watch that Rose Bowl for those shots that I talked about. But I don't understand the grip they have over the college football playoff. Really? And in a time now where DMAC, it's as dire as it's ever been for NCAA college football ratings. You have to have this playoff on New Year's Day. It's tried and true. Tried and true. It would help your ratings for your earlier bowl games. That crappy Citrus Bowl that they play or whatever.
Outback Bowl.
Yeah, the Outback
Fiesta
Bowl.
Whoa. Don't be dogging the Outback Bowl, bro. Don't be dogging
Well,
the
they do give
Outback
away
Bowl.
the free bloomin' onion, don't they? Like,
Heck yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
I love watching the Outback Bowl.
No, I'm
Outback Bowl.
I don't care about the bowl.
I don't, because I always
restaurant.
got like the remnants of the headache and a younger Neil Rule back in the day.
Not until you drank the gypsy vodka, no hangover, right?
By the way, I'm sure this was a thing in the past, but the Fiesta Bowl, 10 a.m. local time. So you talk about hangovers.
How stupid.
Who's going to go to the Glendale,
stupid.
Arizona to watch the Fiesta Bowl at 10 a.m. local time? Like, that makes a lot of sense.
You're just staying up.
Quitclaim Bowl.
I wonder,
Or actually, it's 11 o'clock.
I go to our proverbial Esquire Robert out in San Diego and stuff like this. Is the same? Do we view it the same on the East Coast as they do on the West Coast, or is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it viewed in different parts of the country as the Rose Bowl as this thing still? Like the hype out there, or is it pretty much nationally? Right? Do they have the same feeling as we do here? Because it might not be the same thing. It might be like the end all be all and hyped and stuff like this. I mean, it's not going to help now, but I mean, because that's, or what's the hook? You know, what is the hook? Maybe they know in California, oh, it's because of this, right? This is it because there's a deal back in the day. Who knows?
Daniel Gray, no one is opting out of the playoffs. The day's coming, Daniel. Trust me, man.
Because
it's coming.
To your point, because they're going to be made, and then it leaves the kid to go, well, my NIL contract going to the pros says I can't. Takes the kid right out of it, right? Puts it into more of the business, and why wouldn't we see that? Here's the thing with the NCAA, right? It's too bad is they try the immediate fix without going back and seeing what they did wrong, cleaning it up. Right? So it doesn't happen again. So you're just leaking oil the whole time.
Stephen Baffey, if all the bowls were hosted in Texas, you get them to attend a sold-out stadium at 6 a.m. Then it's fair. You know, that is fair. That certainly would be the case. Some states are just more football-orientated. But, you know, I don't understand the grip the Rose Bowl has on it to the point where they will commit rating suicide by continuing to play these games on New Year's Eve.
But it's because they don't have their finger on the pulse, because they don't care, because it's whatever the money rate now that they're bringing in over the checks and balances, right, are in their favor. It's until the checks and balances where they even out or they go the opposite way and it affects one of these big guys' pocketbooks or one of these teams, it'll have to be a big team. Right,
Yeah.
Neil? You know that. It's going to have to be one of the big SEC teams that runs into some sort of problem, right? Where Nick Saban or somebody like that, you know, has an issue that's brought up, because that's how things get changed.
Yeah.
Again,
Rob J. opting out will happen in the playoffs soon, and I agree with you, brother. I mean, there's a mass exodus from the Rose Bowl. What if we were doing this show 3 years ago and I said, guys, you're going to see the day where every NFL draft pick playing in the Rose Bowl is going to opt out and not going to play? What would people have said to me on the chat threads and social
You're
media?
crazy.
Yeah. No
God,
way. It's the
what, you
Rose
don't like
Bowl.
Michigan?
Yeah, it's the Rose Bowl. You know, I mean, that's what
you're
they would
nuts.
say.
It's the Rose Bowl.
That would be the discussion, man. It's the Rose Bowl. So this is the way we're going, guys. It is, and I know it's disappointing, and I know it breaks everybody's heart, but this is the way that it's going. So look, D-Mac, this is your final show of the year. Uncle Terry Foster will be in here with me tomorrow. So I do want to take some time. I want to talk about the Michigan-Georgia game, and I want to get your thoughts on it. We're getting to that time now where we have to start to draw the line in the sands. Let's go, you guys. We'll take one segment. We'll go heavy Michigan-Georgia here. Michigan plus 7.5. That's pretty much been where it's been all the time. Most of the bets on Michigan, but most of the money's on Georgia. It's really weird. The whole point, and you know me, I like to go ahead, snoop around. It's weird.
You're smelling all different rooms right now. You don't know where the cookings come from. You don't know.
Yeah.
You're looking all throughout the house.
So like a point spread thing. But we'll get into it. We'll get D-Mac's thoughts on it because we're not going to have him tomorrow. Uncle Terry Foster and I will do a kind of a deep dive on it tomorrow as well. Look, I know, though. This whole point spread thing, for me, a lot of times it's simple, D-Mac. This one's not so simple, but there are still things that are simple.
Well, they are simple, and if we're going into New Year's Eve and stuff like this, whether you're watching a bowl game or not, you got to get the haircut all ready to rock and roll because, guys, it's honest. Neil said we like simple stuff, and it doesn't matter when football's on. We got to look good for our ladies on New Year's Eve. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's as simple as this. You walk in, you sign in, you sit down, and before you know it, you are handsome and clean. Get the Lady Jane's open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. And if you're afraid you're going to miss the game, they got TVs right in the mirror. Why? Because Lady Jane is wicked awesome. Big D Energy, Neil Rule, Darren McCarty. Be right back.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand.
Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
Hire a graduate
Of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
No off-season for us. We're talking sports 365. Detroit Sports Network. Woodward Sports.
Coming down the stretch, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network, Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty, our final show together this year. D-Mac will be out till after the New Year. Joik Bell will be back after the New Year. You know how this stuff works in this business, man. You know, guys are shuffling around, getting their time off, much-deserved time off. So, D-Mac will be down for a little bit, but he'll be back.
I'll be around.
He'll be around.
I got to make my way around and take care of some house cleaning in the state of Michigan, but I'll be chipping in. Yep. Whether it's in a video or maybe I'll give you a FaceTime call or a VMix.
Yeah. No, that will be the case. We'll have our DMAC representation coming out real soon. Uncle Terry Foster in the building tomorrow. I'm hyped for that.
Oh, and he's gonna have stories.
Story time with Uncle Terry Foster. Can you imagine just think. But we'll ask T-Foss for a New Year's Eve story. Can you imagine?
I wonder if he's got any Rose Bowl stories.
He gave us the one the other day.
I know, that was a good one. That was a good one. T-Foss, I'm going to have to tune in for that. T-Foss.
By the way, his Chippewas are in the Sun Bowl, so maybe he has heading down there.
That's right. Clocking a payday, too. The payday went from like, $600,000 or whatever to $2.3 million. Yeah. Well, I'm sure they said reported, which you know what that tells me is.
That's 4.
You know what reported $2.3 million. You know what that tells me? There was some negotiation.
Higher?
No, probably lower.
Maybe like $8 million.
No, because
how's $8 million lower than 2? Wait, what am I missing? Is this American math?
Yeah. I'm guessing it was probably lower because I've told you guys that stuff happens in bowls. It's documented.
Absolutely.
The Motor City Bowl did it with 3 schools.
I would think in this case, though, that they're getting something a little bit more, right? Because they're going out of their way, right? You know what I'm saying? And they're filling a void like they're doing a favor.
Yeah, but there were other directions they probably could have gone. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Maybe T-Foss can dig in.
And look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
But you're
history has proven that I'm probably right. And there's documented cases.
You were told.
Yeah, not even I was told. I read. In publicly available, I read. The Motor City Bowl did this exact same thing. It was a reverse auction.
I was told because you read.
Yeah, they did a reverse auction.
So that means there's no Arizona Bowl.
Correct. Which, you know what? Truth be told, I know like we're a digital media company, like Barstool is a digital media company or whatever. I was looking forward
to see what they did.
Just to see what they were going to do.
They were going to do it.
And to see how it was received.
Do we know who was even going to commentate that? Were they going to have
Some
actual
Barstool's people were going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, Barstool's people were going to do it. And I bet they were going to blow the lid off.
Probably Big Cat on there.
They were going to blow the lid off like conventional stuff.
Dave Portnoy.
Well, truth be told, like I've always wanted to... I always want to do like a
watch party,
like a satellite radio style call where you
can swear and you
can just do whatever,
get emotional or whatever. Call it like it is, a little bit more lenient. Yeah, and those guys push the envelopes to entertainment, and it is entertainment. So it'll be interesting to see how they rebound and what they go to next.
AC, Neil predicted the end of the Roman Empire. I'm not saying it's the end of college football. I am saying, though, we will see soon players opt out of the playoff. We will. Maybe that is the fall of it. I don't know.
Is your fallback going to be because they, even though they expanded to 8 teams, 12 teams, more teams that can opt out?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, with college sports are always undefeated because a lot of us went to the schools. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't fake that. You see the jersey out there, and whether it's a Michigan fan, Michigan State fan. Well, Central fans don't root for Central. They always root for Michigan State first, right? And Eastern fans always root for Michigan first. But at some point, it comes back to the school you went to. So I think you'll have that core of passion that will always be there no matter what. But it will. It'll be interesting to see. Just like it will be interesting to see Michigan v. Georgia in the Orange Bowl. And I'll put Sawyer on the spot a little bit. The discussion, we're seeing the videos, and I heard some people talk about in the YouTube chat thread, too, about the footage of Michigan on the beaches and maybe did they get down there too early, or they maybe not focused enough on the game. I'll tell you what, though, if A.J. Henning's going to come up with fire content like this, they should go down there a month before the game. A.J. Henning did a Gus Johnson.
Before you play this, I just want to let you know that, guys, whether you think or not, but the Michigan people, even the players, they're fans of Neil Rule because there's a Gus Johnson explosion going on here.
Absolutely. Listen to A.J. Henning here do his best Gus Johnson. It's incredible.
Are out on this beautiful day. A.J. Henning reporting live from the beach, Michigan. Wolverines are out on this beautiful day. A.J. Henning reporting live from the beach, Michigan. Wolverines are out on this beautiful day.
That's pretty sharp, man. You got to give A.J. Henning.
Dude, that's real good, and it goes to show. I was saying is that think about it. That if you think about it, we mess around with it, all the time and stuff like this. There it is, and but that's the connection that sports has, right? Yeah. And if you're Gus Johnson and you see that, you got to pop. Right, because that goes back to our Madden talk, right? The connection generationally that you have, and not saying Gus Johnson is John Madden at all, but you know what? There's that connection that for the. I always respect the guys, whether they're coaches, announcers that have been around the duration, but they can relate to the younger guys, even in music, even in different things that can bring in the younger generation. So. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think this is great for them. I think this is great for Michigan. It's sort of like that reward. To me, it tells me that Jim Harbaugh has his finger on the pulse of this team, much like Dan Campbell does with the Lions, because you see that the excitement, and then you watch Aiden Hutchinson and you watch the guys being interviewed, and because there is focus there, and I think there's maturity there, and it doesn't mean wins or losses in the game, but I think this team can handle that with what they've been through, so they're not out there, getting hammered on the beach, doing stupid stuff, putting their program in jeopardy. They're together, they're doing different things like that. I've been around I've been not in Miami, but I was around Clearwater when the bowl games were there, and all the excitement with the bands and all the stuff that they do together. This is great for these guys as a reward to get to the playoffs, right? So this will be good for the Michigan program, for the younger guys, but also, too, I don't think this is a detriment at all. I think this is sort of a reward and a refocus.
Yeah, and, Fort Lauderdale's cool. It's fun. I go down there a lot for work. Fort Lauderdale, Miami, it's cool. It's a great scene to be around and all that stuff. But, D-Mac, Michigan and Georgia, and I'll get into it, a little bit more of my deeper dive tomorrow with Terry Foster. But you got the stage, D-Mac.
Well,
take us through.
Here's the one thing, right? And as we're keeping a spotlight on, are there guys going to miss? Are there testing? Stuff like this. You see a couple Georgia guys earlier in the week, a couple Georgia guys here and there. What team is going to, whether it be, my fingers are still crossed. And I guess I'm at 60-40 that I think something bad's going to happen, but it's slowly going down. But I just want Friday to get here. Now, as far as the line, at 8, is it still at 8?
7.5, 8, depending on where you shop.
Here's the one thing, right? The consistency is that line has not really moved at all, right? So if you think it says Georgia one-score team better, and I think what it comes down to is can Ajabo and Hutchinson provide the pressure and the guys up front like they had in the past, like they did against Ohio State, and be in the backfield, and can, because here's the one thing against Georgia. I don't think we're going to be able to run on them up the middle like we did, so it'll be interesting to see how we're prepared. But history explaining that Jim Harbaugh and this team that got over that hump of Ohio State, there's no reason they can't win this game. But again, they got to come out. Cade McNamara, what are we saying? He's got to take care of the ball. He's got to take care of the ball. And even saying that, he hasn't 100% taken care of the ball in the last few games. But he's bounced back after throwing a couple suspect picks at suspect times, but it's bounced back. And if such a thing happens, I'm confident that he'll be able to adjust to that. I think this is a close game. I think it's a one-score game, and I hope Michigan wins.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I am with it, too. I mean, there's a little more details to it and everything like that as far as what I think. But I just I can't understand it. This whole 7.5 thing, I look at it at the naked eye and say, for any team to be favored over any other team in this game over a touchdown, that seems blasphemous to me. It does.
No, it makes you, different times, sort of scratch their head. But again, can this Georgia team, like usually when you're going against the SEC and the Alabamas, the Georgia, whatever like this, you're like, man, we really don't have a chance. These guys are better. They have a chance. They've proven
1,000,000%, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It's still Georgia.
And I think that maybe the motivation too is because you look at it when you're the underdog of this disrespect, right? Disrespect. And two, hey, Neil, what have I been saying all along? And Terry gives you more crap that you call it after, but you call it before you see it. But Georgia's one of those teams.
Georgia's in Iowa, man.
Georgia's in Iowa. They're Arizona Cardinals. They're getting ready for that descent. Is this the continuation of that descent that we had? Alabama showed that they're beatable. I got to think Michigan's scouring the tape to see how they use that and how they can use it against them. So at the end of the day, I hope both teams are as healthy as possible so we see that game. And however it plays out, I think Michigan's got as good a chance as ever. They've gotten themselves here, and there's a reason for it, and I believe in them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I keep racking my brain on it because it's not right for Michigan to be a 7.5, 8-point underdog to Georgia, of all people. Georgia's good, don't get me wrong. They're good, and their defense is very, very good. And I know a lot of people are going to hang their hat on and say, well, their defense isn't great. Look what Alabama did to them and stuff like that. Bryce Young's going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft.
Here's a simple thing, right, where it comes down to it, and it's X's and O's and as simple as it gets. And I see it on the chat thread or whatever. What we saw against Ohio State, right, if it's the line of scrimmage battle. The O-line and the D-line. If the war in the trenches, the war of wills, that's where this game is. That's where this game is. And if you see one of these teams have the advantage, or you see that, like we saw Michigan 3 yards in the backfield in Ohio State, either side of the ball, that'll dictate it. But that's what it's going to come down to, who can own that line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and for like the Alabama-Georgia game where Jamison Williams is shot out of a cannon coming down the field, Michigan's had a lot of injuries at the wide receiver spot. They're missing arguably one of their best receivers. And that explosive play that Michigan has gotten time and time again, they lead the nation in explosive plays on offense.
Yeah.
You would never believe that.
But you know what I like
but
too?
It's fact.
And here's the one thing is don't be surprised to see some trickery too. They've pulled out some different stops, and whether it's using J.J. McCarthy at different times, which you see not only the confidence that the team has in him, because he fumbled at a tough spot as a young guy against Michigan State, but bounced back from that, learn from it. That's the one thing is that I see more than before is the old Scotty Bowman, you're allowed to make a mistake, don't make the same one twice. They're not making those same mistakes that we see in the past. So
right. AC says, I think people are sleeping on Georgia. Like, my common sense factor kicks in and says, this line's not moving. But then, you go back to it, and I'm not saying you judge everything off the point spread or anything like that, but there are some tea leaves from time to time, D-Mac. They are. We pointed them out here before. We know how these types of things work. My common sense kicks in and says, for Michigan to be getting more than 7 points, I can't understand how that can be. And more of the bets are going on Michigan. That's probably a factor because Michigan has that Yankees or that Lakers tax to them where people just bet on them. That's the way it is. But the line's not, it's not dropping. So that tells me that the people, and I want to say in the know because you can't be in the know betting on it. There's a very minute percentage of people that do that for a living. But people that do this heavy seem to favor Georgia. They think there's value in it. Right? I mean, what other explanation is there?
No, that's what it is. And I look at it as these teams, I think they match up real well against each other. I think this is one of the best games that's going to be in this bowl season. Right? It's got that ability. And like I said, Neil, the whole thing, do you think it's here's the thing, and I have to ask somebody that bets, and maybe you can catch Woodward bets here weeknights at 6 to 7 or on Saturdays from 9 to 10. But I'd ask Scott is the fact that until the final roster for Friday comes out, like as far as the COVID list,
like who's playing,
is that why it's not froze, but people are waiting. And then we'll see that influx. I'd be waiting to see when the game's announced. Like Neil, you look at, didn't they cancel a game last night right in the middle or like 2 hours before?
Yeah, like 2 hours before the game, right.
So in saying that, I think the bettors are skeptical.
No, I would agree. And we don't know like what the deal is with Daxton Hill. Nobody's saying anything about that. So I think when we boil this all down, guys are going to play. I think we're going to see this like a lot with the NFL. We'll take a break. When we come back, a little bit more discussion on this. Pistons trade speculation that includes the Phoenix Suns. I'm always for. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I'm always for trade speculation, Sawyer. Let's get into it all. Coming down the stretch here. Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network.
I'm Kay Cunningham. Working with Hall Financial to purchase my first home was easier than I could have ever imagined. They treated me like family from start to finish. Find out for yourself at callhallfirst.com.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Opinions are like ear holes, and we're putting ours in yours.
Well, that's not winning, Joy.
It's Woodward Sports.
Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. My name is Neil Rule. He's D-Mac, Darren McCarty in the house. Sawyer is in the booth. Fish is in the bowl as always. Good show today, man. Lots of discussion about John Madden, and I think people sleep on really the impact that he had in the documentary. I got a chance to watch it last night. It will be on again today. It will be streamed shortly as well. So
9 and 10:30 on FS1, and then 8 on Fox tomorrow.
There you go. So if you missed it, tap in, as our good friend Joik Bell would like to say. Joik will be back after the holiday season. But we're getting D-Mac's thoughts on the Michigan-Georgia game. D-Mac will be out for the rest of the year. It sounds so long.
Well,
he's out for the rest of the year.
Listen, anybody can find me tonight at the IWR down in Monroe. I will be down there for the wrestling. Tomorrow, I will be either doing the outdoor game at where the Mud Hens play in Toledo. I will be coaching the Toledo Fire against the police at noon, and then the alumni games at 6:30 tomorrow night. So I know Mickey Redmond, Joey Kosher, myself. I was going to read the lineup. Maybe I'll do that in the last hour.
Okay,
I'll do it in the last segment.
I like that, man. I'm a big sucker for those things too, man.
Are those both in Toledo, D-Mac?
They are. Monroe. The wrestling's tonight in Monroe, and the things
but the two
tomorrow,
hockey games tomorrow.
They're both. Everything's going on for their Winter Classic on the outdoor rink where the Mud Hens play.
Fifth Third Field. Yeah,
Fifth Third Field.
Can I talk about the NHL Winter Classic?
Is that going on?
7 o'clock on New Year's, really? 7? Normally they have like 1 or 2. 7?
Fish, who's playing?
The Wild and, well, it's still on at the moment. Wild and Blues at Target Field in Minnesota. I pulled the UD-Mac, or Neil. I totally forgot it was on, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I think the Winter Classic's happening. It is.
You know what? I'm glad you brought
It's
that up.
still scheduled. I hope it happens. I love watching the Winter Classic, my favorite thing. But 7 o'clock, like, I will stay up. I'm not going to pull an old man and go to bed at 9, but, like, I love when it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you got the sun. They'll have, like, sun delays because of the glare from the glass. It's just, you know, just different.
You poor thing, Fish. I mean, dude, I felt the heart in that. I felt his heart there.
I wonder what
D-Mac, did you play in any... Sorry, Neil. Did you play in any Winter Classics? Or outdoor games?
I sat next to the one in Chicago. I did not play, but I sat next to Ozzy on the heated seat in Chicago at Wrigley Field. That was cold.
Would you rather have it day or night?
I'd rather have it day. We played the outdoor 2013 at Comerica against the Leafs. That was a blast.
I was out there for that one too to see my guy serve.
That was cold. Yeah,
it was freezing that day.
That was cool. I got a couple good pictures from that, but that was fun. And yeah, so that's it. I'd rather play during the day. You know what I'm saying? There's something to it. There's something to when hockey guys get to put eye black on. it's something to act like football guys. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel for you, Fish. But again, what do you want? It's Gary Bettman hockey.
Has it run its course?
The Winter Classic?
Yeah. Like, we're at Target Field now with the Minnesota Wild playing the Blues.
I get the Minnesota Wild being an outdoor, you know, like that.
It is hockey. It is like the true Hockey Town USA.
Well,
I mean, like
high school hockey.
Yeah, by attendance and stuff like that or whatever.
And stuff like that. I mean, I always believe that outdoor game for the Wings, like that, they're the next, like going back to Comerica or stuff like that, that would do good again.
Yeah, it's just like they did it. They're out of cool places to do it, right? They did it at the Big House. They did it at Fenway.
Wrigley Field.
They did it at Wrigley Field. That one was sweet.
I think it's one of these things that them and the Rose Bowl should get together, take a hiatus, and then maybe come back a little bit stronger. Like you could, I guess it's like, it wouldn't be, unless there's a commitment to, everybody gets a participation trophy, so everybody gets a chance to host one because we don't want to leave anybody out, you know, stuff like this. But it's one of those things that if they stepped away and let the fans say, hey, man, I miss that, and then sort of want it back and maybe made it every few years, every other year, to those special, monumental places that you don't really get to. Like the baseball parks are great. I mean, Wrigley Field, as a hockey player to play in baseball stadiums or football stadiums, that'd be cool. The only other one that I would say, right, which hasn't been done is AT&T, right? The biggest Dallas, just indoor, just because to be able to do that. So.
Right. What do you got, Fish?
I have a comparison on the Winter Classic and playoff games and the Rose Bowl.
Nobody knows hurling here, Fish.
Because the Winter Classic, you know, was a big thing, but now they're starting outdoor games where every like February or March they'll go to like an Anaheim or an LA.
That's my problem.
Last year they went to Idaho.
They bastardized it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like. And Klompsaw says, no, the Winter Classic is great. And it is if it's just the Winter Classic just on New Year's Day. It is. But they've oversaturated it with all that other stuff. Man, the NHL, always getting in their own way.
But here's to the point, and to Fisher's point, too. If you made it must-see viewing TV at noon or 1 o'clock every New Year's Day and stuck to that schedule or whatever, then people would lock into it. Like, you know, some of the fans saying... Quick response. Your environment when the pucks, the biggest thing about playing outdoors or whatever is the snow may pile up or the conditions may deteriorate faster. But as far as the aesthetics of once the puck's on the ice, no, it's like playing any other stadium. When the whistle blows, though, you know where you're at, no matter where it is. If you're in a small barn up in northern Michigan to you're at LCA to whatever else, that when the game's going on. Now, when you're playing outdoors or on like if it's snowing and stuff like that, which is cool, the effects, you know, that you'd expect. Yeah, snow wind. The one that we do every year, Frozen Fish Fiasco down at Clark Park, which has one of the greatest outdoor rinks, and they got their own little Zamboni and stuff like that. Oh yeah, the wind will blow. Like, that's the one thing. The biggest difference is if the wind's blowing one direction, just like in football, whether you take the wind or you don't. Skating into the wind and stuff like that, that has something to it.
That's why I run inside all the time, because I'm soft, and I hate running into the wind.
You're lazy. You're not soft. You're lazy.
Which one is that? Is that soft or lazy? Like, I get the mile. I get the miles.
You want to be slazy?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know which one it is. There have been a couple of questions that came in about playing outside and about the Winter Classics. You know what? Hey, man, let's run it. It's a holiday season. So we'll take our final break of the show. When we come back, D-Mac will answer those questions. He'll let you know what he's got going on this weekend. And we'll shut her down. It's Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. And now it's everybody's favorite time of the show.
And you know what? Since this is my last Guardian Alarm commercial of the year.
Wow.
And Fish is back in the Fish Bowl. We're going to make this a memorable one. Why? Because Guardian Alarm, they get it. A good defense on and off the field helps you feel secure. Guardian Alarm, state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe. All with 24/7 monitoring right from here to unlock your doors, turn on your lights, turn off your appliances, temperatures. If it's on fire, it'll detect the smoke or that deadly killer carbon monoxide. So if you want to be part of the Woodward Sports Network Big D Energy family, give us a call. 1-800
Stay out.
1-800
Stay out.
I need a very, very special Wolverine victory style New Year's Eve ball dropping. Let's take 2022 into the best security Guardian Alarm way. 1-800
Stay out.
Get out.
Stay out of my house.
Stay out of Fish's house.
Enjoy
Fish
the
New
holiday.
Year's
Happy
Eve.
New Year's. Winter Classic at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, Fish's bomb, but Guardian Alarm, they get it. Your local security experts. Give them a call today. Big D Energy. He's ours. Man. He's Fish. Sawyer, Neil Rule, Darren McCarty. Be right back.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it. Spin. Spin. Uh-oh. Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
The pros know. Go! Listen Monday through Friday for Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network with Stanley Cup champ Darren McCarty, former Lion Joik Bell, and the silky voice of Neil Rule.
Final segment of the show, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty, Sawyer in the booth, Fish in the bowl. Stay out, Fish has been resonating through our YouTube chat thread. Appreciate all y'all along for the ride. Sawyer has a good hockey idea, but D-Mac, you will be coaching in a celebrity game down in Toledo. You have the
coaching,
starters.
Right, I'm going to be coaching. I'll be down there and then the alumni game, but I pulled up the roster, the goaltenders, Eddie Meal, George Bowman, and Rob Laurie. Yeah, we carry 3 because we're so old. And Eddie can only go down and double pad stack one time.
And then you pick your spot.
Bad hip. But we got Mickey Redmond, Dino Cicerelli, Darren McCarty, Joe Kosher, Larry Murphy, Jason Woolley, Nick Freedom Fries Perot, who's our Bauer rep, used to play Michigan State, buddy for all these years. Lorne Knopf, Rem Murray, former Edmonton Oiler, Michigan State Sparty, Trevor Hamilton, Steve Guala, also a Sparty, and then David Moss, Eric Nystrom, both former Wolverines. In fact, little tidbit, played with both those young men in Calgary.
Yeah.
And David Moss was a 25 in Calgary after I was there. And Eric Nystrom, yes, Bob Nystrom's son, Bob Nystrom from the famous 80-84 Stanley Cup winning New York Islanders, one of the toughest men in history. One of my favorites. So
before I get to Sawyer's idea, I do have to ask you this. When you guys play these alumni games, because you guys are in the warm-ups and everything, and everyone's laughing and having a good time, when does the line shift where the joking around and everything stops because you guys.
It's
There's a point
dictated
where you
on the
turn up.
competition.
Yeah,
It's dictated on the competition.
So if it's a close game.
Because the talent levels always vary because, the charity game. So if it's a game where, you're out there and you don't have to turn it on or whatever, but it's you can't turn it on and off, right? Like it's you have to turn it down, right?
Sure.
Because there's a few times like here's my line, right? When somebody gets running around or is excited or whatever, does something to chop or whatever, I'm going to go around to you and I'm going to say, hey, that's a nice stick, right? I get mine for free. How much is that? $200? Bam. Slash it. Don't break it, but just let them know. Listen, I get these for free. I'll break every stick. I'm not going to touch you. I'm not going to hit you, but I'll break every stick. I'll hit you in the pocketbook. Why, Robert? Follow the money. That's the biggest deterrent. Now, some of these younger kids and stuff, and that's why when we look at the lineup of some of the younger guys, like the newly retired guys or guys that still skate or play, like this lineup's good. It tells me when I looked at the lineup, the competition we're playing against. So they got some Toledo Walleye alumni and some. So I expect this to be one of the better games. So
when's the line? When do you turn up?
When the line, listen, you can always, I don't know. When's the line is like just don't do something you shouldn't do. Because I will punch you in the face. I mean, we're on the ice. I mean, if you want that, like, that's the whole thing. We can have that conversation, like, and you can play hard, and guys mess around. And
so, D-Mac, you're a Tupac player in these games. How do you want it?
How do you want it, man? Listen, and I'll tell you this, the bottom line, I got Joey still. Joey's out there. Don't make him mad. Right, like that's the one thing I seen him break his stick over a guy over his leg, cut, burn him one time, tried to do it again, being a little cocky. Yeah, so you don't want to do that. Why would you push one of us to see if we can get there? I can get there again. I sort of like I don't want to.
Maybe not for a long time, but for a good time.
It don't matter. Listen, I know how to get you. Like all that other stuff, the drama.
I can see it in your face right now, man. You see that, Sawyer? Like you see him talking about it? Like he's getting all wound up and everything?
Solid 20 there, Robert. I float, cherry pick, do whatever else. I introduce myself to goalies before the game, between intermission and after that. But now I get to be Datsuk, Zetterberg, Geiserman, Fedorov.
Robert wants to know how long are the shifts in those games?
20 seconds. No, 30 seconds.
Man, just one down and back.
It all depends, and that's the whole thing too, right? If I start like thinking something or get frustrated or whatever, I just go off the ice. You know what I mean? It's if everybody understands the thing that I do in my life that I don't like the most is putting on my equipment and going on the ice. Everything else around it. So, but the fact is, if you know me, if I'm going to do something, I put it all in there. So the fact that I'm out there, my line before we go out on the ice is we are doing this. We're not just hanging out. Okay, we got to go do this. And the thing is, guys, I'll do anything for charity. So there we go.
There you go. So you had a good idea. What were you about to spit?
Oh, I mean, in the last segment you were saying they've done like every location possible, for the Winter Classic game. So what if they dip into the MLB's way and make it like a Field of Dreams style? Like.
Did it right in the middle of like right
Michigan.
In the
middle of a lake, like pond hockey style, build up like an old school rink around it and make it real like just hole in the wall feel.
Like a made for television.
Yeah, make it an experience.
Like
people
Mystery
I gotta
Alaska.
watch this pond hockey.
Would they be able to have fans? Because the Field of
game.
Dreams, they did have fans.
Yeah, they had some.
If you build it,
that's interesting, man. That is pretty good.
I'm not
you come up with good
against it,
ideas
Sawyer.
every now and then, Sawyer.
Not against it. I mean, that's Settlers of Catan.
Yeah, that's all the trading for you.
I like it.
Maybe D-Mac can run it up the NHL flagpole and see if we can get Big D Energy to sponsor it or something.
I mean, they did play in
Dude,
Idaho last year.
you just mentioned the three letters I don't mess with, right? That's no, we can run it. You know what? Why don't we...
Too many suits there.
Yeah, that's where Neil will run it up the NFL, the NHL flagpole.
I'll get in the bar with him.
There it is.
I'll get in the bar with him and we'll get it figured out.
You and Batman need to sit down.
That's
and
where
have some
I
gypsy
operate.
vodka.
Take him to Red Ox.
Yeah, 100. You know?
Oh yeah.
You know how I do it in there. There is no question about it. The Catan Cup. That's what Robert says. There you go.
Winning team gets a custom set of Catan made with their logo.
Oh, dude!
Everybody likes it, though.
Hey, you know what? I'll play.
Everybody likes your idea, Sawyer, so that's got to make you feel pretty good. We'll ride off on that. A good Sawyer idea. Appreciate everybody. D-Mac, have a Happy New Year, bro.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, Sawyer, Joint, Fish, everybody here. Happy New Year to everybody out there in Big D Energy Land 2022. Trust me, I'm not only going to be away to recharge, but there's some big things that we all have planned in. So we're just firing it up. But thank you to everybody out there for all the support, for joining us. This is a family thing. Neil and I talk about it all the time. Without you guys, it wouldn't be. You can throw microphones in our face no matter what. We'll always talk, but to be able to come here and it's all about you guys. So, Happy New Year. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. That's all I can say.
And oh, by the way, Terry Foster and I tomorrow, right here. Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Well, see you later.